Hey guys, in January of 2019, so more than 4.5+ years ago, I reviewed this light right here from Brinyte or Brinyte. People pronounce it differently, but this is the PT18 and super impressed with the light. Again, I've had it almost 5 years, and I still use it often. So I really do like the light a lot. And I have reviewed a ton of lights for them since this one. And they always have exceptional build quality, just really unique designs. It seems like they're always coming up with something new. I love like the dual switches. There was just a lot of great things about this. So they reached out to me and kind of said that they had almost like an updated version of this light. And I was a little bit hesitant about doing a review because I don't like to do something that I've already done. So they told me that there's enough changes or updates on this that it's basically a completely different light. This one is called the PT16. And so what I'm going to do here is kind of compare, like, if you already have the PT18, is it worth you upgrading to the PT16? Because when you look at like lumens and some of the other things, they're pretty similar, even on their outputs. It does have more throw. It's a different battery, but we'll get into all that stuff. But I just want to know, like, how much better is this light than the one that I already have? So I figured we'd do a quick unboxing here. We'll go over all the features and specifications, stuff like that. You got some QR codes that you can scan there. Not a whole lot of like technical parameters or anything on the box. A lot of them will say like how many lumens and meters of throw and IPX and all that kind of stuff, but not on this box. All right, so we're presented right away with the light right up on the front here. Not sure if that'll pop out of there or not. Okay, so that's actually very lightweight. It probably does not have a battery in it. This did come directly from Amazon. Our case is cracked right up in there. I'm sure it didn't affect the light at all because this is like a plastic here, but just wanted to let you know, you can see it's all busted there. So in here we have a USB-A to USB-C. So somewhere on that light is a charging port. We have a battery. There is some heft to that. Let's open that up here. It's a 21700. Doesn't say a whole lot more on there. Make sure it's not like a proprietary battery. So do we have a positive, negative on each end? Yep. So I should be able to use any 21700. I mean, it's a protected battery, but anyone should work. Some of these batteries will put positive, negative both in one end, and then you have to get like that particular battery. But this, you should be able to use any one. Also down in here, we have a couple of O-rings, and people always ask me, like, what's the purpose of these? Like, they don't ever use them. Well, the main purpose on like why people used to include them is when you would have to take the battery out to charge it, and like, let's say that's every week you have to do that. The little O-ring that's right here actually gets smashed down by these threads and by the cap. And you do that, maybe 50 times, 100 times, this starts becoming weak and it actually stretches it out and it's no longer waterproof. So you have to change out those O-rings to keep it waterproof. And there might be another one. I don't know if you can remove the head on this or not. Doesn't feel like it. So it's just for that spot right there, but that's the purpose of them. And we have a lanyard, and not sure what that little card is, but then there's a manual down in here too. That's something about like sharing feedback or something. And here is the manual. I think I'm on the back side. Yeah, so again, I'll kind of just scroll this across. You guys are welcome to pause at any point and read all of the specs. We'll go over a lot of it. That right there looks like the user interface, which that looks kind of confusing, but we'll get into it here in a bit. And there's a warranty, looks like. 30-day replacement, 2 years for any type of repairs, and then the limited lifetime. You can read all that if you want. I have large to extra large hands. Usually wear extra large gloves, and their lanyard, I cannot get over my hand. So I might be able to force it, but it's definitely not easy. So I'd say more like small to medium hands, the lanyard works fine for. So before we start getting into all the technical stuff, I just kind of want to show you guys up closes of the light, show you the anodization. They always make like just top quality stuff. I've never had a problem with any of the finishes. Like I said, like I've used this one a lot over the last 4.5+ years, and it still looks brand new. I mean, I literally pull this thing out of the cabinet like every so many days and use it. So yeah, they make just really good stuff. Rubber texture on the buttons is nice. They have like a tactical anti-roll ring right here, so you can hold it multiple different ways, but it also prevents the light from rolling once it's down. We have a side switch, pocket clip. But yeah, I'm just trying to show you guys around. It does look like there's like an AR coating. You see how that looks a little bit purple in those lights there? So it's an anti-reflective coating. They're serialized, which is always nice. We have texturing here on the body, some up on the head, some on the tail. It's not real deep on the tail, but it's still enough that you can grab on and twist that. It is really deep and aggressive through here. So if you had wet hands or anything like that, that would be good. We have the USB cover. I don't like how that looks. I'll have to look at that off camera. It almost looks like it's not sealed all the way right there. You see that? Those couple little spots. Again, I'm viewing it through the camera, so I'll have to look at that off camera and see how that looks, but that's a little bit weak. Like if that just gets touched on anything, that just like slides right out. I'm not sure about the waterproofness on that, but let's see what that manual says. IP68. I can see that getting hung up real easily. I mean, you just touch that and it just comes open. So that's something they probably should improve upon. And so this is the old one from almost 5 years ago now. And there's a little groove right here that you have to kind of put your finger in, and then you're able to like grab onto it and then pull it up. But it seals down in there really tight. You can see how there's like this rectangle that pushes down into there. See that little thing right there? And once it's down in there and you rub your fingers over it, it does not come off at all. I mean, you really got to like dig in there to get that thing to come off. Whereas that one, you do it one time, it just comes right up. So that's not a great design. Do want to read you just a few of the technical specifications here just for the outputs and stuff. So the highest output is 2000 lumens. And if I remember right, going back to this one, I think it was 2000 lumens as well. They are using different LEDs, I think, but so that 2000 lumens is only going to run for about 2 minutes, and then it's going to step down and run for another 130 minutes. I don't know what it steps down to. It doesn't say. Does it step down to that 820? Does it step down to 1,000, 500? I'm not sure. It doesn't tell me here. So then yeah, our high is 820 lumens for 200 minutes. You can see a medium and then a low. The lowest setting is a 10, and it's got a strobe, and they don't list a runtime for that. And then an SOS with a significantly reduced output on the SOS. We can see that it throws over 600 meters, 92,000 plus candela. Impact resistant, it looks like they've only tested it at 1 meter. We mentioned the waterproof earlier. So the working voltage, it says it's 2.8 to 6.0 volts. So technically, even though this is a 21700 battery, we should be able to take maybe 2 of the CR123 batteries. I'm not sure because of the length, but we'll try it and see if they'll work. If they were the right length, they'll definitely work. So the size of the old light and the new light basically look identical to me. The length is 6.26 of the new one. The body is basically just an inch. It's 1.06. And the head diameter is 1.53 inches. So I pulled the battery out of the old one. Without the battery, it's 6.4 ounces. With the battery, 8.1. This one does have like this ring on it, but the ring is like aluminum, doesn't weigh hardly anything. So 6.4 and 8.1. So yeah, this is obviously significantly lighter, almost more than an ounce and something lighter. And then even lighter with the battery. So before we go over like the operation of the light, I do want to throw a couple of the CR123A batteries in. They're obviously significantly shorter, so they may not even make the contact, and they're a lot skinnier, so I know that they're going to rattle in there. And they don't include any type of adapters. Some flashlights will give you like an 18650 adapter because that would work in this light as well. Brinyte did not include that though. There are the springs. Looks like there's a double spring on the tail there. And then I don't know how well that's going to show up. There's a spring down in there as well. So let's just drop these small batteries in. Again, they may not make contact. We'll see. And then I'm just going to push the button back here and see. Yeah, it does. So as you guys can see, the 123As will definitely work in it. So what I will probably do is get that 21700 completely charged up, and then we'll go over the user interface and all that, and then we'll get some nighttime shots and stuff with the fully charged battery. And with a battery like this, again, you can do the onboard charging with that USB-C cable, or if you have an external battery charger, you can just put it in there and charge it that way as well. All right, so this is the operation of the flashlight. It looks very confusing. You see all these buttons and the press of this, and it seems overwhelming. Trust me when I say it's pretty easy to use this flashlight. One thing I did want to show you guys first off is that it does have like a little, it's almost like it's a battery indicator, but it's also to help you locate the flashlight. So on the side here, it's kind of hard to see, but that's actually lit up right now. So in the dark, if your flashlight's over on a shelf or desk or whatever it might be, it'll really help you be able to find that light. You can turn that off if you don't want that thing lit up. You basically just press and hold this. It says for like 10 seconds. So we'll see if this actually does work. Probably 5 more seconds or so. And that should be about 10 seconds. It blinked and now it's off. And it's the same thing if you want to reactivate it. So this is a picture of the tail of the light. So we have a main switch and then a side switch on the tail. And all of this stuff here, you can do probably 95% of it from just the tail. You don't even have to kind of go down into here unless you want SOS, really. That's just about everything else you can do up here. So if you want to turn the light on, so if you want like a temporary, you just tap this and then you let off of it. Tap it, let off. If you want it to stay on, you just click it on, just like that, and you click it off. So that's that whole top part. Pretty simple. Press. If you want it to stay on, okay, no problems there. The little side button on the tail, all right, if you long press, so if you just keep pressing it, basically, you're going to get strobe. When you let off, the strobe goes away. So this button here is strobe warning. Strobe, you let off, it goes off. Pretty simple, okay? Now it says if you turn this main switch back on, okay, which we did, and now we click the little side button, it's going to go through like turbo, high, medium, low. So we can get all the outputs right here on this now. So we'll click that. See that now we have a low, medium, high, turbo, and it'll just keep cycling through those. Low, medium, high, turbo. All right. And then it says if the main switch is on and we long press the little button, so we'll turn this on. Now we're going to long press it and we're going to get strobe. Yep, went into the strobe. Now if we click it from the strobe, it's going to give us turbo, low, medium, high. And it did exactly that. So that's basically, you can do almost everything from the rear. So like, let's just say you want a low output and you turn it on, you're in turbo, you just click the other button. You want a medium, you just click it again. Shut it off. It's actually very simple. And that's most of the features of the light right there in that rear tail. So there's obviously this side switch here too. And we can see when the main switch is off, with the light is off right now, if we one click it, we just go through turbo, high, low, medium, all these settings. You can see it obviously getting brighter, now it's dimmer. All I'm doing is just one click, and it's taking me through all those settings that it says right there. All right. And then from here, if we long press, it just shuts us off. All right. Pretty simple on that. Again, the main switch is off, so we're off. If we long press, it'll start us off in low. So it just came on the lower setting here. All right. And now from here, if we one click, it takes us through our settings. So you can see that. And now from here, we can also double click to take us into strobe. All right. And then we can double click again to go into SOS. There's our SOS. So that is one thing that we didn't have up top. And then from here, we can one click again to cycle back into like the low, medium, high. All right. So all that stuff was pretty easy. And if we didn't want SOS, we could have went straight from strobe into low, medium, high, turbo, that kind of stuff. Okay. So let's turn this back off again. We'll long press, turn it off. All right. Now it's telling us if the main switch is on. Okay. So now I have it on. If we long press, we go into a slow strobe. So let's see what this does. Okay. It blinked right there. And what probably happens is that every so many seconds, we're probably just going to get like a blink. So main switch is on. If we one click, it goes through our settings. So that's kind of what we did up there, basically. So one click will take us through all the different brightness levels. Okay. Main switch is on. If we double click right from the beginning, it will take us into strobe. And then we can double click again for the SOS. It's almost the same stuff that's up there, honestly. It's just a different way of getting to it. We can one click now to go through low, medium, high, turbo. And then the last feature down here was if we were in the strobe, we can just single click and go through it with skipping the SOS. It really is just a lot of the same way of getting the same stuff. I know that stuff seems somewhat confusing, and it took me a few minutes to go over all of it. Trust me when I say it really is pretty easy. You can use the side switch to turn the light on, and then you just press a little bit longer to turn the light off. You can use the rear switch to turn the light on. If you want different modes, you just cycle through them and then shut the light off. It really is that simple, honestly. Another thing I want to tell you guys about is that there is a battery level indicator built into that side switch. And so basically when we turn it on, it's going to stay on for 5 seconds. And if it is green, it means we're somewhere between 100 and 70%. So basically a fully charged battery. If it's orange, we're somewhere between 70 and 30. If it is red, it's between 30 and 10. And if it's flashing red, it'll be below 10 and definitely needs to get on a charger. So if we just turn the light on, we can see it's green now. So that means our battery is full. We're good to go. You see I just went out there after 5 seconds. So another feature that this light has that the old one definitely does not, and I really like this a lot, is that it has a self or an automatic lockout mode on the side switch. So what it's saying is that after 1 minute of you not using the light, the side switch will automatically lock itself out. And that way, like if it's in a bag or even on a holster or anything like that, if this were to get bumped, it will not turn the light on. And it tells you that basically you have to hit the side button 3 times to unlock it, or just press the rear tail switch. It's almost impossible for these rear switches to get hit on accidentally, because it really takes a lot of pressure to to push them, and especially to push them to where they're on constantly. But the side switches can get bumped against stuff and can come on. It does say that you can manually lock it out as well, by hitting it 3 times without waiting that minute if you don't want it. And you can always just loosen the tail, which would lock it out. So I've been talking for over a minute here. So let's hit that and see if it does come on or not. Nope, it won't. And you see it blinking. So I hit that and it blinks and the light will not come on. Now I should be able to tap that 3 times. And I think it should work now. Yep. So that feature does work. I do like that a lot. All right, guys, we're going to do a comparison between the old PT18 and the new PT16. Do the old first. Across the road here at this tree. That's still a very impressive beam. All right. Again, the iPhone does adjust pretty much automatically, but let's go to the new now. The new definitely has a tighter hotspot. That's going to be way more throw on it. I'm going to bring the old back in at the same time. So it's old on the left, new on the right. There's a tree line across this old fairway. From where I'm standing right now, it's about, I'm going to say probably 250 feet or so away. Let's see what the old one looks like. So you can kind of make out the trees back there in the background. I can see them really well with my naked eye standing here, but let's try the new one here. Oh yeah, that's, I don't know if it's picking up on camera, but that's significantly brighter. So these trees on the other side of the house are about 150 feet or so away right now. We'll put the old PT18 on them first. Again, you can see it's got a nice throw, but it's kind of more flood where it lights up everything up there. Now here's the new PT16. And you can definitely see how that is more of a focused spot. I mean, it still illuminates really well, but you can, it's almost like a lightsaber. You can see that beam just going up there. I will say it is getting a little bit warm in my hand. Nothing crazy though, but pretty impressive beam on this PT16. So hopefully seeing those nighttime shots were somewhat helpful for you. Again, keep in mind that an iPhone adjusts immediately when that light comes on. It is so much brighter in person than what it is on the camera. So that beam that looked like a lightsaber on camera, it looked like a rope almost in person. It looked like something you could literally walk on or hang on. So after having and using this light for the last 3 weeks or so, let me give you some of my thoughts on it. And again, they're just my opinions. You may disagree or agree with things that I like and dislike, but first thing is I like how that little light stays on there all the time. It makes finding this light in the dark so easy. And then you know exactly where your side switch is, but once you put it in your hand, it's easy to find the rear tail switches. So let me tell you about a feature that Brinyte has on this that a lot of flashlights don't. I've had this Olight, the M2T Warrior, for probably 5 or 6 years or something like that now. And I've kept this as my bedstand or nightstand light for all these years. And this is when Olight used to make pretty decent stuff. But I keep this because I can use this side switch. Like let's say I hear something in the middle of the night. I don't want to get up and have a flashlight be on like the turbo highest setting. So I can actually hit this little side button here and get this really low light. So now I can be like looking through my house or whatever. And then let's say I do see something, all right, or I hear something in the room and I need to go up to the turbo. You can take this rear and then immediately blast that. And then you can continue from the rear if you want strobe. So I really like that feature. There's not a lot of flashlights that actually offer that. And that's why I've kept this one for so long. I've had probably thousands of lights since this one, and I still use this. The Brinyte actually has that same feature. So I can basically turn it on from the side switch on this real low setting, and then if I need that turbo, I can just blast up to the turbo. Or say that I want to have it on the low and then I want to go to the strobe, I can hit the button here and then immediately go to strobe while I was on. The only thing I wish it had, and I wish that the OLED had it too, is I wish I could be on low, go to one of these high outputs, and then when I let off, it goes back to the low. The only flashlight that I've ever had that has done that was at Spiris. I think it was called maybe the P10 or something. But that one, yeah, you could have it on a low setting, go into your turbo, let off, and it would go back to the low setting. I like that it has USB-C charging because I've got 100 of those chargers. Some people prefer that magnetic charging because it makes it more waterproof. Like I'm not going swimming with this. I think if it gets a little bit of rain on it, it's probably going to be fine. But I will say that cover is kind of not very good. That's kind of trash. But I do like that you can remove the battery and charge it externally if you want. Again, it is a protected battery, so you do have to have a bay on your charger that's long enough to take a 21700 protected. And speaking of that battery, 21700 basically is going to give you almost twice the capacity as what an 18650 is. So the run times on this are just absolutely phenomenal. But if something does happen to that 21700, you can use an 18650 in this, or like I demonstrated earlier in the video, you can use CR123As, and having that built-in battery meter is nice. You can always know the status of your battery. A couple features that I didn't talk about when we introduced the light was the crenulated bezel. You can call it a strike bezel, but these aren't like super sharp. I still wouldn't want to get hit in the face with it. But the real purpose of something like this is so that if you set the light down, you can actually see that you left it on. And so yeah, that's the purpose of them. And then the other thing I didn't really mention was like the cigar style, like I guess you could call it a tactical ring. It's really an anti-roll ring, but you can hold it like this um, as you're using the light. But you can set it down here, and then once it finds one of those grooves, it prevents it from rolling then. So a couple things I do not like about it. It's a little bit too big for me to pocket carry anyways. Um, but the clip is not a deep carry clip. And so you're going to have that much of the light sticking up out of your pocket. I mean, it's quite a bit. Some people are going to say they really like that because it allows you to easily grab it and pull it out of your pocket. But again, you have that much sticking up. I would almost prefer this be a two-way and a deeper carry. Like, if it came up right to there, it would still be plenty for somebody to grab on and pull up out of their pocket. And my other complaint is kind of as it is, it cannot tail stand. But again, you kind of know that because you got rear switches. But you can see how this is like angled going down. I know that they do it so you can easily get your thumb into this little control right there, because if it came straight across, it would be a little bit harder to get down in there. So it's designed on purpose like that, but because of it, it won't tail stand. And I'm sure I can find something to rig up that'll work for that. Like this old Olight, it won't tail stand either because it's got that rubber switch on the back of it. And I just took like this old little fan base from like a battery powered fan, and that light fits in there like that. And then I can illuminate a room, if I need to, like a lantern type light. So I think it's obviously great for law enforcement, having your instant turbo, instant strobe. Also good for security, uh, search and rescue, fire departments. But I also think people who camp a lot, because of the 21700 batteries and the long run times on this, you could take one spare battery, and if you were hiking or something like that, you could honestly have weeks of light on these lower outputs with just 1 or 2 batteries. So at the time of me recording this, August 28th here, these are coming in at $76. Now it does show that they're kind of like on sale right now, and the typical price is close to $95. But that $76 is a really good price on these. There are a couple other manufacturers that make similar lights with like rear tail switches, similar outputs and stuff like that, and they're like $130 to $150 for their lights. So then I come back to the question, if I already had the PT18, would I spend an extra $75 and buy the new PT16? And yes, I still would. It's better in every way. It's brighter, it throws further, it has a much better battery. The 21700, just because of the capacity, is so much better than an 18650. Just overall, the fit and finish of this light is pretty incredible, and I would highly recommend it. So I will leave an Amazon link down in the video description, and if you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below as well. But that's going to be it on this one, guys. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.